I'd say that my definition of a belief system is a set of thoughts or ideologies that are anchored in the identity, where the identity is molded and developed and accumulated around core belief systems. And so, this way, when you have this core belief system that you really adhere to as you maneuver around and in life, whatever experiences take place, only the experiences that fit and are congruent with that belief system are taken on board or are recognized and realized. And so if something is experienced and it doesn't really match or fit the paradigm of this belief system, very often the experience is rejected. However, sometimes when something is experienced that is so profound, so powerful, the belief system is shaken, especially if it's not congruent with that belief system. And so that whole belief system can actually collapse. And it can be a turbulent event. However, a tremendous amount of freedom arises. That person is now liberated, or will feel very liberated from this belief system. And that is the point where one can see how that belief system was a trap. Now, that doesn't mean that belief systems are bad. And this isn't also a discussion as to how they are good. It's just about recognizing what they are and how they are useful, what their utility is. And so we know that in life there are different categories or avenues in which belief systems can be picked up and developed. It can be very simple. A survival-based belief system could be that a child that is newly born after some weeks, months, has learned to crawl and can reach over to objects. And as it reaches over to objects, it will try to put that object in its mouth. And so really this is an attempt to discover what this thing is. Is it edible? Is it not edible? Is it painful? And so that realization and that sort of experience will allow the child to develop an idea, a memory that then forms into some sort of belief system. So an example is if a child goes and hugs a radiator that's very hot or touches it, it may feel the pain of the heat or the burn. And so this then develops some sort of a micro belief system that I should not be touching that. And I should perhaps be a certain distance away from it, where it now feels pleasantly warm. But this happens in different avenues as mentioned. So you have political ideologies and movements. You have societal kind of movements. You have religions. You have different ideologies, philosophies, belief systems can come from anywhere, really. But there's a problem with belief systems, and that problem only arises if they are solely relied upon, and if the belief system is solely the place from which reality is determined, or from which reality is understood and used as a guide to maneuver. And I'll talk about why this is problematic. Belief systems alone are very useful, have a tremendous amount of utility, as mentioned in survival aspects, knowing that a particular plant is very poisonous because it's just killed someone after they ate it. Believing that this plant will also kill me is perhaps a very useful belief to occupy from a survival perspective. But that same placeholder where the survival belief is useful is the same placeholder of when someone occupies a religious belief or a philosophical belief. Now, it's problematic when a belief system becomes the core of someone's identity and becomes so deeply cemented and rigid, where that person will do anything in their power to defend that core identity, that core belief system. It's problematic because reality is now skewed. And so reality is now filtered, or the experience of life is now fully filtered to accommodate for this belief system, to accommodate for this core belief. Which once again, I'm saying it can be problematic, but it can also be useful at times. However, most of the time it can cause a tremendous amount of suffering and can really trap you and or can blur the ability to see clearly to some extent. And the problem really lies mostly in the nature of what a belief system is. Because as we are this child that's now crawling, growing up, maneuvering around life, experiencing, accumulating these experiences and memories, it starts with the experience. And then a notion or a speculation is developed subsequently after the experience. So I have this bottle of water here, and someone has told me that this water is sweet, and I have the option to believe or disbelieve. Now let's suppose that I have chosen to believe. Whether this water is truly sweet or not is now dependent on this person's word, right? And that's okay, because I may have a prior belief system that dictates that this person is 100% trustworthy and I can believe everything they've said because I have now got a track record with this person. They have told me other things that are also correct. And so therefore, I am happy to believe that this water is indeed sweet. However, when you drink the water and I taste this water and I recognize that actually it's sour, it's not sweet, I can now doubt this person and the reason I would doubt this person is because the experience of actually tasting the water has a much higher level of conviction than the belief that the water is sweet, which has been given to me. And so, experientially, the level of conviction is higher than an idea or a thought or a belief which has been transferred or given to us by someone else. So why then is it that we are okay with occupying beliefs and belief systems and we hold so dearly to them when we haven't verified them experientially? When we haven't verified them experientially. And this is a true game changer. It's a true life-altering path that one can take when questioning or trying to verify reality through direct experience as is, rather than through the speculation and the influence of thoughts and beliefs that have developed over time. But of course, to really walk this path is to recognize the limitations of belief systems and to recognize that they can be a trap. Only then will there be some pull towards the experiential verification of reality. And so, looking at this from a religious perspective, there is the belief that God exists. But then there's also this idea that one should be near God or seeking nearness and getting closer to God. But the two don't really add up because you've been given the idea that there is God, and then there's the encouragement to seek nearness to God. So where is the experiential realization? Surely the experiential realization is in continuing the attempt or in continuing to seek that nearness in God, in continuing to try and discover God. But the key word here is discover. It's a discovery. So when you have a belief system that is telling you how things already are, then discovery becomes out of the question. There's nothing to discover anymore. You have created that. You are now bound and trapped in this conclusion. God already exists, so I don't need to do anything to discover God. I already know God exists. In the depths of my heart, I know that God exists. But then we question this. Do you? And so, the moment you recognize what a belief system truly is, and you recognize that a belief system, no matter how deeply cemented and how dear to you it really is actually no different to your opinion that blue is your favorite color. It's perhaps one has a higher level of intensity, one has a higher level of denoted importance, and that's it. They are still some sort of belief system. The moment that is recognized and you see belief systems for what they are, and you see how useful they are in certain settings, but you also recognize that they are not the be-all, end-all to determine reality, and that actually most 99% of the time, this very same belief system is actually encouraging you to go out and seek, to go out and search for knowledge, to go out and reflect, to go out and introspect, which are all actually different synonyms perhaps for discovery, to discover. And so don't allow the belief system alone to trap you. This is very sensitive because for a lot of people this can sound blasphemous, right? And even blasphemy is like the gatekeeper for you challenging a belief system to begin with. Now, the beauty though is that if you do question a belief system and challenge it, it doesn't change the truth. The truth already is. The truth was, and the truth will be there tomorrow. And so when you question a belief system, it doesn't change the truth. However, holding on and looking through the lenses of that core belief system can alter the truth, can actually warp the truth and distort it. And so you can never experientially satisfy the truth or experientially recognize the truth with that higher level of experiential conviction. And so instead, you question the belief system, which can feel highly uncomfortable because you've built this whole tower of an identity, with the foundations being that belief system. And once you start chipping away at this belief system, it will feel like the tower will collapse. And maybe that's okay. That's okay, because it might now create the space for the recognition and for the realization through direct experience. So I grew up in the Islamic faith, and there was this one quote that really stood out for me. It was a hadith. It was about Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was the Prophet's cousin, Prophet Muhammad's cousin. And someone asked him, "O Ali, do you see God?" And he said, "How can I worship that which I do not see?" But it's not that we see him directly through the eyes, but we see him through the hearts, or through the avenue of authentic belief or authentic faith. So I've paraphrased it here, but the point is that he said, "How can I worship that which I do not see?" Another thing he said is, "لو انكشف الغطاء لما ازددت يقينا," which basically, to translate it simply, even if the veils have lifted, I would not increase in certainty. And he's talking in the context of the truth and the presence of God, the divine truth. So even if the veils are lifted, I would not increase in certainty. This is not an individual that was solely relying on the belief system of what he is believing in. He's not using a belief system to then adapt or realize the truth. No, he has direct experience and knowledge, not information, direct experience and knowledge of the truth, which is of an absolute level of conviction, because perhaps not absolute, but it's a much higher level of conviction compared to just having a belief system. So it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to observe. It's okay to recognize what thoughts, ideas, emotions, belief systems, what they are, for what they are. And really, it's a path of discovery always. The moment you have admitted to yourself, or agreed, or believed that you have discovered it now, and you've discovered it all, just know that this is the beginning of falling into a trap, a mental, psychological trap of beliefs and ideas and opinions, and it's an uncomfortable place. Some of you guys listening may have already started this journey because they have recognized how claustrophobic they are in just looking left, right, and center, and all there is belief systems that are determining or telling you how reality is or should be. No, see it directly. See it for yourself directly. And nothing about this is blasphemous, because surely, if what you believe in is the absolute truth, then seeing it directly for what it really is through direct experience, which is, by the way, what most of the belief systems actually encourage you to do, then surely the belief system should remain intact. Thank you so much for watching. This is Hassan from The Spiritual Walks, and we are all on a journey towards the truth.